Hello, everybody. Good morning. So I've got the show running, but it's like 3 or 4 seconds off on the big screen here. So that's going to be a little bit interesting. So I'm seeing the delay that you would see. So you're seeing me in the past. Okay. So what do we got going on today? Well, today we've got the update from last week's visit to the train show, the Great Train Show, and the combination of the Great Train Show and this other show called The World's Greatest Hobby. So those two together, Pete Motley and I visited that after last weekend's show. So that's what we got coming up today. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Um, so with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at who all's here. First of all, say shout out. Hi, Mom. Um, Rocky is here with me. No, he's not going on any car trips today. So Rocky says hello. We got Dwight with the Curly Express. He showed up at 5:30 in the morning my time, according to this. So that was 7:30 his time. Good morning to you, Dwight, if you're still out there or you're back. Jason with Colonel Cottonbelt stopped in for a bit. Lynn McCurdy, welcome to the show. Um, Brother Dan is here. JP with the Beaumont Hills subdivision. Welcome to the show. Hot dog pilot Andy, get to the chopper. And Pete Motley. Pete Motley is in the building. Sparky, 107, 107. Thanks for joining us today, Sparky. And even my brother is now calling hot dog tuna guy. Okay. And to Brad from Willow Creek. Good morning. It's morning there in New Zealand and evening there in the UK. Kevin Brown, I think you're in Illinois or thereabouts. That's where you're at. And Klondike, thanks for joining us. And that looks like who we've got in the chat right now. So welcome everybody, and thanks for joining. Things have been a little bit interesting this last week. Had some pet issues um, that we're still going through right now. So hopefully, hoping for the best outcome there. This is a possible condition for the dog breed that I have. So um, not the best of worlds, but he is going in for another consult with a neurologist on Monday. Then we'll see what happens. So it is going to probably cut into my model railroad time as I spend a lot of time making sure that I'm observing him. So, anyways, we got our fingers crossed for him. Um, he's doing okay. I got him all doped up right now. So he is right now. Let's see if I can jump over, we'll go to Shaky Cam. And we'll go over and look and see what he's doing. Yeah, he's just hanging out in his bed. Okay. Well, that's to be expected. And let me switch back over before I make everybody give everybody nausea. Um, yeah, I can see that right now. It's a bit disconcerting. Okay, so that's what I got going on in my life. Um, he's done a few too many Supermans off of sofas and um, beds and running up and down stairs. So, um, yeah. So Kevin Brown, did I get you before? Yeah, okay. Hey, brother Andy, Montrose Highland Railroad, thanks for joining the show. It's at a time that you're not at work. So thanks for being there. Yeah. It appears that this it's called IVDD. It's a back injury that can basically make it so eventually they can't walk. You see many pictures of dachshunds, even in dachshund races, where they're going around with little wheeled uh, wheelchairs, I guess you could call it, for the back. Um, we're hoping to avoid that completely. So it is going to mean lifestyle change for him and some for us as well. But got our fingers crossed that we can do that. I've got him all doped up really because he wasn't feeling really good at all on Tuesday. Went to doctors. We got all this medication. Wednesday, he was under meds. Thursday, um, yeah, Thursday, he just was going crazy and thinking that he was all cured. And then Friday was a down day. So, anyways, enough of that. We're here to avoid. This is about trains and not about my dog. Uh, but just in case you're wondering, if I'm not working on the layout as much, which you already know, I don't get enough time to work on the layout as much. That's another thing that's going to draw me down. So, anyways, on with the thing. What did last weekend, before all this happened, Pete Motley and I made a little road trip up north here, about half an hour north, up to a place called Ridgefield. And we visited what's known as the Great Train Show. And let me see if I can get that. I'll bring that up in the browser in a moment. But yeah, it was a great little outing. So let's see, desktop push transition. So we went to this one, and actually, the Great Train Show is coming this weekend to Novi, Michigan, 17th and 18th, and Puyallup, Washington, this weekend. Um, Next weekend, it'll be in St. Charles, Missouri, and Kennewick, Washington. And then it ends out the month in Ventura, California, and in later on in Indianapolis, and they've got other shows mentioned here. So that's if you want to see that schedule and know if there's one coming to you, it's called it's greattrainshow.com. And let me copy that. And we will put that into the comments. There, so there's a link to it. You can go and find out about that if that's going to be close to where a location where you are. Yeah, I'm sorry, Andy, the two Andys and Brad. It is not coming. That's not going overseas. But I hear you have a lot of train shows in the UK. Not quite sure about what's available where Brad is at. I think he said there's not a lot of options down there. But anyways, so yeah. Oh, okay, that's good to know. Although I found that the show here, I mean, it used to be in a place called our Expo Center, which is in Oregon. Um, it used to be down there, but I think the Expo Center changed prices or something, and they decided they wanted to get a more affordable venue. So they're at the Clark County Fairgrounds facility. It's a fairly small show here. So I think there were about 8 different layouts. There were plenty of vendors. I did not go to the 2015 show. In fact, last year was the very first train show that I went to. And to be honest, I forgot something. So if you bear with me for one moment while I go and retrieve some things from upstairs, if you can all chat amongst yourselves for a minute, uh, I'm going to put up a little thing here if I've got it. Hold on, let's see if there we go. I'm going to put that. It's right there. I'm going to be back in under a minute. I can still keep chatting to you though. But anyways, I forgot to go and retrieve the things that I picked up from the train show. So hopefully my mic continues to operate while I'm walking up the stairs. Today, because I'm observing the dog, I am downstairs in my living room and not upstairs in the train room or in the game room. So yeah, I picked up a number of things, of which I've already taken 2 out of the boxes, and so I don't have those to show people. Let's see, I've got something else here. That's what I picked up. I don't know. Okay, all right. So enough of like being disorganized here, which is to be expected on this show. I mean, we are off the rails. Um, so I picked up a couple of things at the show. Actually, Pete can attest that once I got to the place where I found the vendor that was selling N scale cars, that I didn't get completely carried away, but nearly so. So here we go. Let's catch up with the chat while I was walking around. Oh, okay. Well, that would be cool. You're doing T-track or something like that. And let's see what Andy Henley has to say. We get some great train shows here, Kevin, but not enough American and Canadian layouts. If you like 50s steam diesel and modern day British diesels, you would be in for a great treat. Well, I think that's one of the varieties that we find. Please wait. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm trying to catch up with the chat here. Yeah, so this is kind of a cross between a regional and a national show. There's a so first car I'll show you is I did, although I could have gotten carried away here because there was more state cars, but I did pick up the Arizona state car. I was trying to keep it to states that I have lived in. I believe I do have the Oregon state car. So that's the Arizona state car. I got a good deal on this. Well, actually, anymore, a good deal is like $22. But the person that was running the was in the show for the guy that has all these cars. Probably is not the most expert about pricing. So um, I was able to pick up that Great Northern car. And this was, they just charged me, it was on the sticker, which is a great deal. at $11.70. Um, and I did pick up this other one, and this was the only one that had the $22 sticker on it. So that's why I ended up paying 22 for those other two cars. Now the cool thing is, um, that's the price, the MSRP. So it is below MSRP. And this is a fairly newer car then. Um, you can tell kind of by the color scheme of the microtrains about what era this was produced in. So those three cars. And then I got one that I just happened to come across, and I was amazed I found this. So this is a look at this. This is a special run train. This is a special run by Microtrains for the 1977 NMRA convention in Denver, Colorado. It was called, well, I initially said, oh, Rocky. There's a Rocky tie-in, but it was really Rocky Mountain. So Rocky Rails 77 NMRA convention. So interesting thing about this is my family was in Denver on one of our summer road trips, possibly arranged so that we could kind of attend that. But to be honest, I don't think my dad got in because he would have had to pay the entry fee. Yeah, it's almost 50 years ago. So at the time, we were living in Flagstaff, Arizona, and summer times, 1977. What was that? Well, that was the year that Star Wars came out. So we have another thing. At the tail end of that road trip, we were in St. George, Utah. I believe it was St. George. And that is in southwestern Utah. And that is where I watched Star Wars the first time, along with my brother, my dad, and mom. So we were all there in 1977. And that's where we saw it. We didn't see it. I think we may have watched it again later in Flagstaff, but I'm not sure. Hey, Jerry 2057, thanks for joining the show. You snuck in there. In case I didn't see you chat earlier, thanks for joining us. Yeah. Yeah. Then in downtown at a theater, which is now just a live music and venue called the Orpheum in downtown Flagstaff, which is, I think, to be honest, is kind of fortunate because the sound system was never good in the Orpheum. It is a huge, undivided theater, so it's like an old theater. The other thing I got, if you're an N scale, sometimes you have a hard time reading all the small numbers and letters. So I got some times 15, or I think there's time 15 magnifying. Just somebody had this tool. I did buy another tool as well. I don't I couldn't find it upstairs, but that's going to come in handy for actually looking at numbers on cars and even finer detail print on cars that can get pretty small, like those really tiny letters right there are not easily readable by um, my eyes. Okay. Pete says he watched it in the Old Fox Theater downtown Portland. Was that Old Fox Theater on Broadway? Um, the one they ended up tearing down in about the mid to late 90s? Yeah. fine tuning track work. Although I've also found that a good finger around is usually one of the things you need. So one of the things we did discover, and I'm gonna switch it up a little bit because we're gonna play part of the video, or I've got about 10 minutes of the show uh, available to watch, and I've got that all set up here. See if I can make that big. Yes, I can. And we're going to transition over to that. And I'll push play. Pretty loud. If people can people hear that? I I am not able to watch that and watch your comments at the same time. So I'll wait a few seconds. Okay, no sound. Okay. So I'll just talk because there's no sound for whatever reason. I think that it has to do with, oops, I restarted the video. Let's back it up here. Pass to Pete and I. Um, Most likely, why are we getting no sound? I'd have to stop the video to go over to change the mic source. But here was the first thing up that we saw after we came back. A few of the O scale sellers around the side was the Garden Railway here, and I'm trying to see. I can lip read. Wow, he's swearing like a trucker in a snowstorm. Yeah, yeah. So if you want to, I'll drop the link to that video, or you can see it in my channel. This is the same thing, but I'm providing a little bit more narration here. So this was the Garden Rose City Garden Railroad Society, I think. Um, they are there. They were there last year. They had a bunch of steam trains. Um, this is my favorite right here. I always have a special place for Rio Grande. I like those, even though I don't model it. And of course, you always have Thomas the Tank is going to show up everywhere. A big draw for the kids. So then we're on to the Beaverton Modular Railroad Club, and this is an HO layout. Um, this one and another one oftentimes show you the trials and troubles of putting a module layout together and keeping the track alignments and not having derails. And also, there was a child that almost grabbed that Thomas the Tank. It was a little bit too far over the ropes there and grabbing that plexiglass. Pete and I both observed, we were like hoping that he didn't grab the train. But little kids don't know any better, which is why parents need to keep them at their own safe distance. But this is always a good one. They've got some good modeling here. Um, yeah, and going back, now that I'm a bit behind on the comments because I can see them on the big screen. I can't see them. So, um, yeah, they got a bunch of scenes like that. And then this is an N scale. These two groups come together with Fremont. It's a different thing than T-Track. It's code 55 N scale. That they do a great job modeling this stuff and also running it. Most of the time, it's without issues. One of the guys, if you are on the Union Pacific channel, is Ed McNamara, I think his name is, and his son have done a lot of these modules. And that I believe that's Ed right there. So he was running this train. Um, and as he was running this train, it derailed. Um, and I actually uh, tried to stop him and point that out. I think we got him. I think we got his attention. Are these some nice little locomotives here? What are those? Those look, I don't know. SD40s? There's a mix. There's this, anyways, great looking train. Um, yeah, that wasn't me. That was somebody else pointing that out. Yeah, it got derailed, and it probably derailed because Code 55's tolerances are pretty low. And let's see, GRE 2057 says SD40 ends. So then I went over to this little small little layout. I'm not even sure what the scale of this is. Um, might be HO or ON30. I don't know. Okay. Longview, Kelso, Rainier is another show that's, let's see, these are HO guys. They have a modular layout and they always come, and they've got some good modeling here as well. Now, this was the star attraction on the High Railers 4D, which they are a club that's based up in the Seattle area, I believe. They do O27 track, but this guy that I showed right there had a huge collection of um, of military trains. And sorry, I'm bouncing around a little bit. I think this is Z scale now. I don't know if I got the ordering of these things just perfect, but yeah, I just grabbed all these things and threw them into a video together. So this is a Z scale, not N scale. That's Z scale. And this is a small little module with a trolley run around it. Kind of cool. And it's in like a portable, like a suitcase. And I think again we're looking at a Z scale here. It looks like N scale. Um, I'm not sure. It looks like the same as Kato Unitrack, but I didn't know that Kato actually makes Z scale. Looks like the same thing though. And here's where see you can see Z scale, and that was where I got the thumbnail photo of Godzilla. Right there is the thumbnail for the video. So if you're looking for the video, if you see Godzilla, uh, that's that's the thumbnail. I thought that was kind of funny. Um, here I think we've got it's either Z. I think we're at Z, still at Z scale again. Um, and this one also might be Z or N, maybe N. Almost a hand came in there and grabbed the train. But yeah, yes, this is what problems that will present you at a train show if you bring your trains and there are people standing around. Another cute little layout there. It just makes a folded dog bone and goes through there. Kind of some nice detail, and also seem to sit on top of the other module pretty well. So that I think that was the Cascade Z scalers, and now we're over to the Lego. So the Lego guys always show up. This is the Great Northern Lego layout. They have a pretty large setup. Um, and the track actually looks pretty good for being Lego, you know? The curves look good. Those are not your standard Lego radius right there. So these must be a little larger than your standard ones. So that's a lovely looking 4449 daylight. And the buildings are always phenomenal. There's lots of detail there. Just if you go back a year, you'll see I've got another video of this same layout, and there's Pete. He's coming back. So yeah, and then what are we got? This is more of the HO, the Beaverton modular model railroad HO, and some photos, some video of that. So there's the Freedom Train, the 4449, pulling some mixed freight or a manifest freight. And sorry, someday I'll figure out the right way to cut the sound for the scene, because I don't have it right now. And look at that. There's a TriMet bus. Some more still pictures of the Beaverton one, a local passenger train, the Freedom Train, and we're done. So, yeah, I'm going to stop that and go back to my face. So let's see. I'll catch up on the chat here. Yeah, I could have the Roy Smith ones. I actually have a little bit of a more of a uh, not a country one, but I have a different set of music that I play there. I reserve the Roy Smith music specifically, and it's not Roy Smith. It's just music called Daisy Dukes, and I reserve that specifically. It is publicly available on YouTube, but I reserve it for um, running the layout photos of the month as Roy did. So yeah, I do too. Although I really appreciated watching, um, as far as Godzilla goes, I did like Godzilla -1. Hey, that's Closet Branch. Welcome to the show. We're a little over halfway through. Yep. So we just got through running. We just got through running the video that I put together for my visit with Pete to the Great Train Show. Yeah, like I said, Godzilla -1 was amazing, and you can watch it. They remastered it in black and white, and of course, you have to buy that extra. Someone opened the closet door and let him in. Well, let me get some coffee here. I have to say, I'm going to have to think about putting a television up in the train room somehow, somewhere. I don't know where it would sit. Uh, that way I could actually see the show when I'm not able to see the show. I do see that the comments are kind of getting obscured. I got two comments thing running. Oh, it must be, I know what it is. Um, yeah. Okay. I know what's happening. Let me turn off the live chat on that. Okay. So I guess y'all could put live chat turned on if you wanted to on your viewer, but I've included them here. So that might be some cases being interfering with the things. So yeah, I could put it over the Helix. I just have to see where that might fit in. Okay, so thanks, Closet Branch. We are saying hello back to you. By the way, I didn't spot any SD40 tunnel motors at the show. Apparently, the train that Lynn McCurdy, not Lynn McCurdy, Lynn McCurdy's here, if he's still watching. Ed McNamara was running, had 3 SD40Ns, according to GRE 2057, I think. He's also said that the stuff I was watching might have been ON30. Yeah, that makes sense. And if you're not a subscriber, go over and subscribe to Andy Montrose Highland Railroad. He's got a show coming out soon, show 107. Yeah. So what? No SD40T-2s. No, none. I didn't spot any. I did not spot any there. What a shame. But there was a. This is a thing. I don't know how many of us have kids that are that age, but there were two. There was a Thomas the Tank train to ride, and there was also these little sit-on cars that you could pedal with your feet around the track. All getting pretty good business. In fact, the show seemed to be well attended. There was a lot of people there. Our main takeaway from the show was, Pete, yeah, don't eat the hot dogs. Sorry, hot dog pilot Andy, but don't eat the hot dogs. In fact, we probably should have taken JP's advice and drove, or Steve 87's advice, and drove 15 minutes farther north after we attended the show to get In-N-Out Burger. Would have probably been a much better place to get bad food. Incidentally, apparently, I'm also off the bad food diet, so I'm cutting chips and Cokes, and I got to cut all that out. So my doctor says. Okay, that was big news from personal side. More than you wanted to know. Okay. So I don't know what we've got going on next week. Next week is 24th. It is not the last Saturday of the month. That's 31st. So in no cannibalism is no good. 2 weeks we will be attempting to run trains on the layout. So I forgot to mention, I did pick up 2 more 40-foot, I think, flat cars that are DoD X for the military train. So I found a couple of those at the show. But what are the takeaways from the show? There was a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. I think the shows on the East Coast are going to kick this butt any day of the week. Like Timonium definitely is. I've heard is bigger. This is pretty small, and then Amherst, I think, is the big one of all. This does not compare. So, and I'm not sure that um, the vendors in California or back in the Midwest, in the East, so Midwest, Ohio and Missouri and Michigan, they may be a lot more vendors there. They may have a larger venue. So I think each location is going to vary what clubs are displaying, as well as what vendors are there. But I saw many of the same vendors uh, here this time as was last time. I think last time I didn't spot the N scale vendor. They had a lot of microtrains, a lot, and you had to pick through them. They were stuffed into these boxes for transportation. Um, yeah, yeah, it's a lot easier down there. Well, as you head up into the mountains, it can get weather is different, right? And then I'm thinking Lynn McCurdy is over one of the passes from you, JP. If uh, if the High Desert Model Railroad is a sign of where he's at, I think it is. Okay, that's kind of cool. So San Bernardino is not that far from you comparatively to how far it is from me. Yeah, everybody wants to go to Altoona. Let's see what Klondike says. Iowa shows are okay. Nothing like the east side of the U.S. I can believe that. Less than 20 miles. So you're closer to, are you closer? Yeah, you're about the same distance that I am to this show. Okay. Blue hot dog and didn't think Andy was a hot dog. No, I think someday we can have Andy regale us with the story of where that nickname comes from. A lot of us have hot dogs. I think there's a video that shows him flying RC plane. I can't remember if Andy is an actual retired pilot. Yeah, I'm not sure we want to know. Not sure. Okay. Yeah, there's a void when it comes to good train shows. Um, I think there are several good ones that we could go to, Pete, but they're up north. If Steve 87 was here, he'd tell us about all the good there's a number of train shows. So it's interesting. So in Washington State, they don't have too many, they don't have very many train or hobby stores compared to Oregon or Portland. Portland has a number of model railroad stores, but they do have a lot more train shows than we do. Um, well, there's like I said, there is Seattle or Puyallup, which is south of Seattle, has a this same train show is there this weekend. No speaky English. Oh yeah, so there's actually a shop that's open. It's PSP, PNP, trains they do all in scale. So, and there's one up in Kirkland if it's still open. Yeah, the only place that I've been down your way, JP, is way into Pasadena. It's called the Whistle Stop. And I've actually, although I don't remember the details, as a child, I went with my father there, as my brother and mom did as well, I'm sure. I think on one of those trips, I'm not sure if it was that one or a different one, we also went to JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and walked around that campus. It was kind of an interesting thing for us rocket nerds. Kirkland, I meant it's closed down. Okay. I did not know that. Um, hmm. Some things survived. Well, hobby stores in general are having the same competition problems that we all do, which is um, this is why I try to go in and buy local when I can, and you should too. And by buy local, I don't necessarily mean going to Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby's a chain, so it's like a big box store. It's more like a Michaels than it is a train store, to be honest. Um, but I like to visit those owned businesses. Those are the ones that are most at risk of going out of business, and without those, you lose expertise. Uh, yeah, I did see. So I don't recall. So when I was there as a kid, it might have been in a different building. It was still in a pretty old building when I was there a few years ago, and I was must have been there uh, about 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, right before I was down there in the spring of 2020, I think, right before everything got locked down. Yeah. So there's also a whistle stop up here. What's Andy have to say? Rich in Pennsylvania only goes over to Esther's. He won't go anywhere else as he doesn't want it to close. Yeah. Um, yeah. So 6 years ago, that's still there. I'm thinking going farther back, it probably was in a different location. Um, but it's still, I think it was still in an older building. Nice facility. I did pick up some deluxe um, intermodal cars that I had to fit with trucks. So it was an interesting thing. Do you remember a hobby shop on Denny Road outside of downtown Seattle? No, I have never visited any hobby shops in Seattle. In fact, I've lived in Portland since 95. So 30 years, which is amazing. Um, well, 31, 30 and a half years, minus the time I spent living in Bellevue for about a year. Um, and I've only been to three hobby shops in Portland. I've been to the Whistle Stop, which is on the east side. I have been to the Hobby Smith, which is closer in to downtown Portland, and Tammy's Hobbies. But I've never visited any shows up in or shows stores up in Seattle. There's this little shop. There's a shop in Bellflower that hosts Saturday coffee and trains. Been doing it for years, and it helped the store grow. Yeah, That sounds like a great idea. In fact, it's most places I think find it challenging to only do trains. Uh, most like Tammy's Hobbies does RC. They do Gundam models. They do, you know, uh, you can get to 1/35th scale models. You can get all kinds of things there. Airplanes scale RC airplanes. They run the gamut. They are a hobby store, but they have a good train collection, and hopefully someday they'll find somebody like our great friend Steve K, who is semi-retired from there now, who ran that whole train side much better than anybody else. He's still helping them, but I think he needs to help them less now that microtrains is not a going concern anymore. Well, to be honest, I think Pete can tell you when you get the owner over there and he's feeling like he needs to move some merchandise, you might get a good deal as well. I think Pete and his buddy Gabe went in there and they got a good deal on some Amtrak locomotives. At least that's what I recall from what Pete said. Yeah, the RC guys, they don't know much about trains. The train guys don't know much, might not know much about RC yet either. Now, Steve was a special case since he helped around the entirety of the store and doing ads for them as well. So um, he knew where everything was in that store. Um, as people age out of working, this is what happens. There's some new people in there though, and some older guys, but it's hit and miss on the stuff. Yeah, he definitely was. He is definitely the cornerstone of the store there. So yeah, it's about that time, isn't it? It's getting close to the 10 o'clock hour where I am. So yeah, let's see. The chopper is coming. So get to the chopper. I did remember to bring it down. If you look in that video, you'll also see that Rocky made a guest appearance uh, in the video at the beginning of the video. Uh, Pete and I, Pete and I, uh, were thinking about putting Rocky onto one of the model railroads there, but then we also thought if I put it down, took a picture, and then put it back in my pocket, people might think I'm stealing something off of the model railroad, so I didn't do it. Oh wow, the staging yard goes in today. That's a great announcement. Hey, Steve 87. Yeah, we had fun. Steve, it was about the same as last year. I didn't see anything that was like substantially different. I think there was a little minor tweaks on the Fremont layout. They always put a very large layout together. Okay, yeah. Well, the game's not until 5 o'clock. You must be having a big shindig, Steve. Yeah. So this weekend, okay, that was the other sad news from last weekend. The Ducks didn't beat, but I didn't really expect them to. And Steve's going to go to the same show I was at. So watch in his show. You'll probably have different pictures and different layouts there, uh, which would be kind of cool to see the differences. I think Steve did a show last year about that, attending the show. Always good to see other people's videos of that. Actually, you know what? Ed McNamara actually invited people to do that. He said, if you come and talk, but you know what? The problem was, Ed doesn't look like his photo. He shaved his beard. So we didn't get to talking to him until we asked somebody else where if Ed was there, and he says, "Oh yeah, he's over there." It's like, "Oh, that's Ed." Okay, so yeah, I'm not. Um, I'm not planning to create any Fremon modules right now. So we could. The other thing I noticed though, this time when they assembled the modules, at least first day of running, there were some areas of alignment issues that they were having. So they didn't have quite right alignment, and that can wreak havoc on some cars. So, anyways, and like I said, I think the star of the show was that guy who brought most of a lot of his collection, probably not all of it, of military hardware for O scale, all the in scale. And so you could see a comparison of how big does a Tiger tank from World War II look compared to an Abrams? And the Tigers are still larger. They're huge. I was trying to track down his videos. I didn't find them. So, yeah, and they've they've they had a side to side alignment issue. So I think they do that, and then they've got clamps that they put in place to hold the modules together between. Yeah, he knew so much about the military stuff. In fact, he said he had like first of all he had a flat car for every military set of military vehicles that he had. Now it might meant that he's doubling up. Like some of the flat cars, he could be running two tanks or multiple vehicles per car. But it was impressive. It's an impressive collection, and it's at O scale. And to imagine that he's got the cars and the flat cars for all that he has is amazing. Okay, Andy, see ya. We're about ready to close up shop here. We already got to the chopper. Got to the chopper. Go to the chopper. So I'll end this one for now. And we'll see you next week with something. Single cabin. Welcome here from Ireland. Hi and bye. He got here just in time. Yeah, Kevin Brown prefers T-Track. Yeah, the Kato track on those would be fine. However, that's code 80, and these guys like code 55. So to each his own. Anyways, um, I'll be back next week. Thanks everybody for watching. It's always great to see everybody hanging out here. It's always great to see people, even when they uh, don't have time to be on every show, to show up. That's really cool. So shout out to everybody who's joined, and keep watching everybody else's videos. And finally, what are we gonna do? I forgot to run this. No, not be right back. Like and subscribe. It's painless. All you have to do is click those buttons, and it helps for other people to help find this. If you found it entertaining, they will too, I think. So, anywho, see you all next time or on the next stream. Curly Express has got his show tomorrow around this time. a little half an hour later, I think, or so, and we'll see what Dwight's been up to. All right. See everybody later. Bye for now.